Would you love to be able to actually communicate with your spirit guides and really know you're speaking the same language? Wouldn't it be nice if you had some clarity and you were clear and you weren't second guessing and asking yourself, am I making this up? Am I being crazy? Is this just my own wishful thinking? Well, my name's Sonia Choquette. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to communicate with your spirit guides. If you're new to my channel, I believe your spirit guides led you here. So on some level, you're already communicating, and welcome. And if you've been coming back to my channel again and again, welcome back. I'm so excited you're here. You are such an important part of my community and what we're all doing in this world right now to level up and to live at a higher, clear, grounded frequency. Now, one of the biggest questions that I get all the time is, I want to work with my spirit guides, but how do I know that I'm not just making it up? How do I know that I'm not being crazy? In fact, what are spirit guides? We'll even start there. So let's start with the step-by-step way to communicate with your spirit guides and actually know in your heart, know in your consciousness that you are effectively having this good communication and it's real and reliable and it's making a difference in your life. So the first thing is to actually ask yourself if you are available to being guided. Are you comfortable with spirit guides? Are you available to that idea? Because for so many people, this is brand new information. Like, what do you mean spirit guides? What is that? What are they? Are they angels? Are they my ancestors? Are they nature spirits? Are they light beings from outer space? And the answer is they're all of that. Our spirit community, in terms of spirit guides, is as enriching and as broad as our human community. It's not one size or one guide. We have many guides, many areas of divine support, depending on what our growth is, depending on what we're focused on, and depending on what the situation calls for. So that's how guides work. It's just like the support system you have in this life. For example, if you're in school and you're struggling, you might get a tutor. But at the same time, you might be planning a trip across the country and you might be planning to drive. So you might get a map or someone who's taken that trip and you ask for their guidance or advice. And maybe you're going to have a surgery a few months from now. And so you're going to look for guidance and you might seek the advice and the input of the others who have had the same surgery or experts. So you can see that while there are many levels of our human third dimension experience that allow us to have support, our divine experience is just as layered, just as complex, just as sophisticated, and just as amazingly, lovingly available to you if you let yourself have that kind of support. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to know that there are indeed many types of guides. Now, before I can explain them to some degree, I want you to understand that you don't have to know which guide or which resource to connect with, because the guides know it's an energetic match. So I'll tell you a fun story about this. Years ago, when I was newly married at the time with my then husband, we were renovating a very old house. And the house in Chicago, we're very close to one another. And we had this window, not very wide. It was maybe 3 feet, but long. And it looked right into the house next to us in a very ugly view. I didn't know what to do. We were thinking, should we drywall over it? But then it would make the room very dark. Should we just deal with it? And all of a sudden, a guide said to me, just stained glass, something that had never occurred to me, never crossed my mind, but what a good idea. And that's one of the ways you know you're getting guided help, is you get something pops in that's new to you, that I never thought before in my situation. And I thought, that's a perfect solution. I'm going to put stained glass in this. And not only that, but it taught me that I could be creative, because not only should we put stained glass in, but my guide said, learn it yourself, which is exactly what I did. I went on a little exploration, found one of the most beautiful stained glass artists in real dying art, and created this fantastic window. And so we had the light, we didn't have the ugly view. And that's just a practical application of how spirit guides help you. A lot of people are thinking they're going to come and shake, rattle, and roll your life in a big way. But actually, guides come and help you in these little tiny ways. Just a whisper, a nudge, a suggestion that completely solves a problem. So once you understand we have these guides, they love us. And why do we have these guides? Because we are spirit, and our guides help our spirit have the best human experience. We are here as students to live, to learn, to create, to be empowered, and learn to manifest and love and connect. And those aren't easy things to do. So our spirit guides are available to help us as teachers, helpers, supporters, to keep us in the flow of our highest good. How do we communicate with them? I often talk about our spirit guides like a broadcast, and our awareness is the receiver. So we have to have our receiver turned on. We have to be open to receiving help, support, and guidance. Have an open frame of mind, and more importantly, have an open heart to the experience of being helped. And so that means you don't try to figure it out. If you are troubled, if you are struggling, if you need some support, allow yourself to take a breath, get into your heart, and ask for help. Ask for guidance. Now, this is a very important piece of information, because have you ever had someone say a good friend or a family member call you up and they're distressed and they're in drama and struggle and trauma, and you genuinely want to help them, and you genuinely keep giving them support and guidance and suggestions, but they just throw it out left and right. They ignore what you're saying. They're not listening. They're not taking it in. They just keep going on over and over about the upset. So they're not guidable. It frustrates you if you've had that experience. I have a woman that just told me the other day, she said, my sister is a chronic walking disaster area. She calls me 3, 4, 5 times a week with this problem and that problem. And I try to advise her and she never listens. What should I do? And I said, well, let's talk this over. Is she asking for advice and guidance? She said, no, she wants me to fix it. She wants me to give her money or fix the problem or bail her out, which is also the thing you need to ask about your guides. Do you want them to just fix it? Because guides don't do that. Guides will give you the insight, the direction, the nudge, the suggestion, the inclination to correct your own scenario, your own struggle. They're not going to fix it for you. And this is a huge, huge misunderstanding with a lot of people when it comes to what your guides can do. Your guides will not interfere. They won't control you. They won't make your decisions for you. They won't tell you what to do. They make suggestions. Think of it this way. If you're playing basketball, say you're on a basketball team and you have a coach, you're not going to have the coach say, look, I see you're struggling with the game, so you just sit down and I'll play it for you. That's no fun. You don't want that to happen. So your guides will be on the sideline giving you some nudges. Look there, try this, be aware, but you're playing the game. And that's how it works with your spirit guides. Now, there are healer guides who will help you with your health, mental, physical, emotional, across the board. There are teacher guides. And your teacher guides are the ones that bring you to situations like this, where you have these conversations or you made aware of information that really does answer your questions. You have joy guides that help you find humor and laughter and the spirit to carry on when you're really stuck and dark and down, and all of a sudden something super funny happens. They might orchestrate that. Now, how your guides communicate with you is something really important to understand. Now, sometimes, like yesterday, I was on a podcast with a lovely woman, Jenna Blossom. Shout out to Jenna. And she said she woke up with a very strong inner voice that told her to write a book, and that now is the time. She said it was just so clear, but it wasn't my voice. It wasn't something I normally think. In fact, my voice came back and said, who do you think you are? This isn't the right time. You don't know enough. In other words, presented a bunch of objections. But this inner voice, this inner energy was giving her clear direction that didn't waver. So that's another thing you need to know about guidance. For her, it came as a voice. But for someone else, you might just get a very strong feeling where you can't language. I believe all guidance comes as energetic input that we interpret. Some of us interpret it through a voice. Some of us will experience as a feeling. I just feel that's wrong. I feel that's not the way to go. In fact, I have a client whose husband was offered a job, and she said, you know, it looked good on paper. He was excited, but I just felt it was all wrong, and told him so. It didn't feel right. I was trying to share the guidance with him because I'd been praying for and asking for him to get a good job working with him. And he went ahead and took the job because he was desperate to have a job, but he had a tyrant for a boss, a real abusive, mentally debilitating boss, and ended up putting a lot of stress in their marriage until, of course, he eventually quit. She said, I told him, it felt that my guides just said, don't do this, wait. But this brings me to another point. When it comes to working with guides, they'll make suggestions, but you have free will. And it's important to know that. You get to make your own choices, and you get to have the consequences of those choices. They might be good, might not be so good. But your guides are going to step back and love you anyway and help you under any circumstance to have the best experience by making suggestions that might be experienced as a feeling. Another way your guides communicate with you is by sending people that will deliver the message. You might be standing in line and overhear a conversation that addresses a specific issue that you're having. I have a client who just moved to London, and she has small children, and she was a bit overwhelmed with getting integrated into the society. And she said, I was standing in line at the grocery and overheard two women talking about schools. They were obviously in the same situation as me and where to put their schools. And I got a lot of information about various school options without even knowing them. And I knew that my guides had moved me to go spontaneously into the grocery store. It was actually the Whole Foods in London. And I wasn't even planning on going. So this is another way that your guides might give you an urge or an impulse to do something. And if you follow through with that impulse, you may end up being made available to a conversation or a connection or a person that can help you. They connect the dots. You go here, this person will help you, you go here. So that's another way your spirit guides and your angels help you. They move you into position to have the exact support you need. Very important way for guides to come through, because often we're expecting some out of this world experience, but that would scare you. And while those things do happen, it's not the most common way that your guides are going to get through to you, because they're going to try to communicate in a way that you can receive and embrace and embody naturally. The other thing, and probably the most important thing I want to communicate, is how guidable are you? as I mentioned earlier, are you really available? Because guidance will suggest often to do something different. And I've mentioned this in many of my videos, and I have a wonderful book called Ask Your Guides that talks about this. We can receive guidance, and you'll feel the guidance, you'll sense the guidance. You might have an urge or an impulse quite subtly and very spontaneously to do something, or to pick up the phone, or to park the car or go home. I had another fellow, he was on his way to work, and he all of a sudden had this overwhelming feeling that he has to return home. And he said, I knew that was a spirit guide. I almost felt like someone was in the passenger seat saying, go home, go back. There was no logical reason, but he did. He made that choice. He said, I don't know why, but it was strong enough. And that's going to often be the statement. I don't know why, because you won't logically know why. But when he went home, the house was full with kind of a wiry smoke, and his dishwasher, which he had turned on before he left, somehow had an electrical fire going on behind it. But he got home fast enough to unplug the electrical circuits, just to take, the circuit breakers, and saved his house. So they can be dramatic interventions, subtle interventions. I had another client say she was going to a wedding and needed some yellow shoes, and she just had this spontaneous feeling to go into a store she never would go into and deviate from her normal route, and voila, there were the yellow shoes. This is the main points of what I'm saying is you have to be open. You have to understand there's many types of guides, and they're just going to make suggestions. They're not going to do anything for you. You have to pay attention and quiet your mind. You want to be clear about what kind of help you want. And then if you get an impulse, follow it. At least say it out loud and give it a try. Working with your spirit guides is such an important part of your life. And to that end, I have created a book called Ask Your Guides, which you can get on Amazon or in Audible, and it will actually give you every tip and tool on how to work with your spirit guides. But we don't have to live life alone. We have this divine support. And it's really important to give yourself the opportunity to accept and allow and learn how to communicate with your spirit guides. Once you learn to speak spirit, everything gets easier. So get the book, Ask Your Guides, if you want more tips and tools. And thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and better yet, subscribe. And thank your guides, because they probably brought you here. All my love.